Welcome everybody to the third edition of the Retro Reel. So I have over on my right the one and only Mo. Do I say more? Do you want to be related to me?
No, never. Yes, so I'm Mo, Phil's cousin, and one of his first bullies and role models. I wasn't trying to be. I learned it from you that you're like, oh, you're taking notes. So I claim all the positive things that he is, and I don't know what the crazy side is.
There's not any negative.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about Shogun. So let's go a broad one, general one. We're gonna go subjectively first. So feelings, emotions. How did you feel about the show? And then after that, we can go a more like objective criticism. So how did you like or not like Shogun?
I really like Shogun a lot. Like we've spoken before, definitely visuals are one of the first things that attracted me to it. I love period pieces. I love anything that has to do with any actual history.
Historical dramas is what they say.
Historical drama. Initially, that's what pulled me to the show. And definitely from the first couple episodes, the plot was interesting enough for me to stick with it and follow. And it looked pretty accurate and realistic. And I did do some research and find out they really did a good job intentionally making sure that everything was culturally accurate for the period of time and the actual culture. So that I really enjoyed. That was enough for me, honestly. It wasn't that deep.
Oh, I think that's plenty to get attached to something. I have a lot of love for like Japanese samurai culture. I absolutely love the perspective of a foreigner coming into the land and kind of learning the ways. And I was really looking forward to having those two cultures clash. But I was also hoping that they were going to learn from each other and grow from each other. And so that was the hook for me from episode 1. To keep it still a little bit subjective, I really like the soon-to-be Shogun, Toranaga.
Yes.
I really like Mariko.
Yes.
That
is so funny. I was just, you know what I was about to tell you? I thought you were going to change the angle. I was about to say, do you think they miscasted him?
100,000%.
At first I was like, are they going to reveal something else about this character?
Scene 1.
Yes. I thought they were going to reveal something else about him that was going to make it normal. But I'm like, he talks funny. He walks funny. He acts funny. He looks funny. And I'm like, did they really last minute lost their star?
Yeah.
They had to find the number 5 person for the show because everybody else is such a high caliber
Either
actor.
That or they didn't want to bring down the caliber of Sanada.
Outshine.
But
the thing is that he could work with anybody else. And I understand you're not going to get somebody that's going to be the star of the show for that role because I think the plot doesn't make him a star necessarily. But at the same time, I don't even need for him to be a star. I just need him to be a good actor. It needs to make sense in the role. He didn't make sense in the role at all.
No.
You know what's funny? I just randomly thought, you know who could have played a better role? The guy that played the priest. He would be better.
Honestly, rather Blackthorn play the priest because I'd seen way less of him.
Yes.
Have the priest. Yeah.
The priest, honestly, I thought he was going to have a bigger role because I can feel his presence as an actor. He was so much better.
Honestly,
there's a lot of actors that are actually really good.
He's the weakest actor. He is.
He is.
I remember clearly the first scene I see him because I don't remember seeing him in the trailer or even the pictures for Shogun. So the first scene I see him, I was like, this guy? Because I've seen him somewhere else. Don't remember where. But it was like some low-level CW show. Seeing him almost brought down the show level from being like HBO Max show to a CW.
Yeah.
Like it almost made it feel like that. Thank God for everything else around that. But honestly, he does not carry any scene that he's in. And every scene that he's in is carried by everybody around him. And it has nothing to do with motive because I think the writing for him is really good. And I think it's a very subjective point because I don't think he did a bad job.
Like, I'm trying to see what he was in that was good. So Peaky Blinders, that was in 2019, season 5. He was a Barney. And now I kind of slightly remember him, but I swear it was like a random character. Like, he was always there. And then in movies, don't think we all know any of these.
Anyways,
Annihilation.
he's not memorable. And I think this is probably the most memorable role he will ever have. You know, I feel like there's three things that work for or against an actor. You could be a great actor and you have shitty line and you still deliver it in a manner that's really good and you don't mind the writing because the delivery of it, the acting of it was really good.
Yeah.
You have good writing and not a good actor, but the writing is so good, the director is so good.
All that we were saying is just to show that it's his fault. It's the actor's fault in this situation. It's not even the bad writing or anything. It's just the actor's fault.
If you're trying to do movies where you have kind of like warriors and people inspiring to be in a certain position, if you're doing Shogun where it's a bunch of people that are fit, that are fighting, they're lords, they're princesses, they're all that, I feel there's a level of sexy and beauty that has to be represented. Because when you watch a movie, you watch a TV show, and especially about people that are grand or grandiose, you want to aspire to be them.
Yes.
And now it's like it doesn't feel like most shows have that anymore. It's like it's trying to be a little too realistic, a little too thing. And to bring it back to Shogun is to bring it back to Blackthorn. Blackthorn in no way is somebody I want to follow, but he's the character we're seeing the story through.
As a society, watching shows and movies, we're programmed to see ourselves in the hero.
Yes. The hero has to be relatable. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though, because a hero is actually never relatable because they do crazy, amazing things that we don't do. So we aspire to do that because we're living vicariously through them. They can't be regular, like you said, because the things that they're becoming too regular, they can't be regular. They can't be like me and you.
So let's take a perfect example. The first Spider-Man movie, Peter Parker or Tobey Maguire, right? Before he gets bit by the spider is one of us. Or at least a version, like somebody we can relate to. Like he's a little nerd in college. He has a crush on this girl. He has a cool ass best friend.
That's what I'm saying. But we don't aspire to be Peter Parker.
But the connection with Peter Parker is why we follow him.
We definitely relate. It's an ordinary man that becomes great.
Yes. So how we relate to that is like, what if we were put in that situation? What if regular Joe Phil, regular Joe Mo got bit by a spider? That's who we aspire to become. But at the end of the day, good hero movies usually try to say, it's not me, it's the people that make me great or that save the day. That's why I feel like your character can be relatable, but it cannot be too relatable because we have to have something to aspire to.
Yes, I was just saying that we don't necessarily relate with the whole of the character.
The whole of the character, no.
Yeah, we're not supposed to relate. And if not, we relate to a part of, if not the beginning or the starting point.
Well, that's the good point. That's what makes that character likable or hated by everybody.
And I'm gonna look it up to see. I mean, it's obviously not the first, but one of the most popular character arcs that show this is Clark Kent to Superman.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I don't like Clark Kent. Like I don't like whatever that guy is. Like he's shy, he doesn't do anything. I don't like that. But it sells me even more so that he just and becomes he becomes the Superman,
the greatest hero, the strongest hero ever.
He becomes the strongest. So it's crazy, and it's to the point where like, you know, I remember the first time I realized because I saw somebody said like later in my teens, they're like, "Oh, Superman's an alien," and I was like, "No," I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. I completely forgot. I was like, what do you mean he's from Kansas?
But back to Shogun. So segue would be relatable characters. So Batman is a very relatable character because he's the most human out of all the characters, out of all the superheroes. Right.
What we were saying, the reason why we were talking about this is because of how unrelatable this guy was.
Shogun, not Shogun, Blackthorn, and the fact that he becomes a POV character of the audience makes it even kind of worse. Because if he was a side character, I wouldn't mind, but he's not.
Yeah,
he's our point of view. So overall, objectively, though, This is kind of what I feel about the show. I think it has really good writing. You understand character motives. You know characters are not making dumb decision unless they're dumb, and it's very well paced. Except for one episode, which was like a whole love story between Mariko and him, which is kind of setting up what happens to Mariko later, because they wanted that bond between them so that they can
They
rip
wanted
it
a
apart from
bond.
us.
They created a bond, but at the same time, what we didn't realize is that as soon as she tells him back off, he actually backs off and never tries anything again.
Well, because everything
Because
life
when
is on the
when
line.
she's sacrificing herself, like when she's like trying to leave the town, he's like,
No, because
he's
I think at
thinking-
that point he starts understanding that every action that he takes
you're right.
has repercussions.
It's big, way bigger than his love for her.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like they built the connection so much, and I'm like, oh, the next time we see it is his sadness because she dies.
Well, so I have a whole problem with that. Then
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
it's accurate. Maybe this story. I don't know how much historically accurate this show is.
Okay, so this is what it is. So it's culturally accurate. For the time.
Yes, but it's not a real story.
John Blackthorne was a real person. He's the first person that wrote about the Japanese culture, because you know they were forbidden to connect and do business and cultural exchanges, travel outside of Japan. And then they finally, at some point back then, they opened up. A lot of bad things happened. They closed up again, and I think it was really late for them to open. So that's why their culture has been preserved for so long, in general. But this is where the whole I'm a foreigner, first time being there. That's why they have all these stereotypes and misconception about foreigners too, about him. It's because they're not used to this at all. So it's a combination of all these stories.
So it's not a true story. Okay.
It's really, really inspired by,
and it's historically accurate. It's culturally accurate, but it's not a real story.
Like the Shogun, the actual Shogun, that's not. Again, it might be like from one story to another story to multiple stories, but that one's like Mariko did not exist like as that character.
Yeah.
There might be somebody that died in that way.
So that's even more the reason why I hate what they did with Mariko. Because if it was historically accurate, I'd be like, okay, this is a real story I'm following. So maybe it doesn't have the plot line of like the hero's journey. Like it doesn't have an arc of a hero's journey. It doesn't have an arc of like a love story. It just things that happen, which I guess that's what the show was going for, right? But it's like you sacrifice a whole episode to try to build up this relationship between Mariko and Blackthorne, only to rip it apart in the next episode. And I'm like, you set up the whole story of Mariko to be more than that.
You're right. Who's gonna be like? What replaces that? Like, what do they want to do with us? This is season 1. What is going on?
Season 1.
What is going on?
Like, I almost felt that
John.
You watch all of Game of Thrones, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like Game of Thrones kind of ruined TV. In a way, because everybody wants to do the Game of Thrones thing,
where they can build a character up so good that they can kill him off, and you still like the show because they're gonna keep on making you. But you have to be that level of right. I don't think it's easy.
But then you're like, yeah, but there's a lot more things that are happening.
There's
a lot more characters that I wanna follow. I wanna push through and all that stuff. Where right now you really have 3 characters that you want to follow, that you wanted to follow, right? You had Toranaga, which we know is end up gonna be the Shogun, because he's a typical trope about the guy who's right for the throne but doesn't want the job.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like that. So it's like the person that doesn't want the job is probably the most qualified for the job.
Mm-hmm.
You have Blackthorne, which is a necessary POV for the audience. And then you have Mariko, which is kind of like the emotional side of the story. And so you want to kill off a character, kill off Blackthorne's wife or Blackthorne. Like, give me another.
Not to interrupt you, but they tried to do that when they started killing off like the best friend, Toranago's best friend, his son. Like they start like these, and then unnecessary death, like unnecessary. They just because of his plan. He had a plan.
I wouldn't say
and he
unnecessary.
was
I would
holding.
say it was setting up what type of show this is.
It's his plan was to pretend like he's losing completely, right?
Yes.
And he knew that he is losing, and he has one last thing he could do, and if that works, it's fine. But for it, everybody else around him would have to believe that he's losing. And so instead of telling his guy, like, no, the guy's like, okay, I'll kill myself. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And now his son goes to do a big sacrifice and ends up dying. I'm like, you could let some people in on the planet, they're not, or at least you could make sure that they don't kill themselves, like protect themselves,
Well, his whole line throughout the show was like, don't trust anybody.
Very true.
Like his whole thing is like, you can only trust yourself. Don't trust other people, because this is a game about putting into people's emotion, putting people against each other. Like that's the type of game it is. If I can separate people, then they can't unite against whatever. And I get that. I just think the Mariko one is weird.
It is.
Like, honestly, she was the one I'm kind of rooting for the most. I know I was going to get behind Shogun. I knew that. I knew like I was going to get behind.
But they were intentionally showing you that he's saying goodbye. He's going to die. So there's not a lot to follow in that moment. So they give you her and Blackthorn. And even Blackthorn, at this point, he's not a foreigner anymore. He understands the language. He understands the culture. So his art has like flattened a little bit. Now hers is the one that's actually developing throughout the story, which is why we're following her mostly.
So
but now you lose that.
Do you think the reason they kill her off is to give him agency? Because you said he's stagnant, which I agree.
I don't even want to see him anymore. So I don't care. It's like I'm like, agency. No, please, no. I don't want that. No, I don't want to give him any reason. I couldn't wait for him to get on that boat and go back to his country.
Right. Every time he said that, I was like, go.
I was like, go. I was like,
can we give him the boat?
I was like, get on the boat. Can we give him the boat? Please get on that boat. I couldn't wait, because that's the thing.
I couldn't wait either. Like, he's just not appealing in all types of way. And they're giving him a reason to now act, because before it was just about escaping. It was just let me do the right thing to get the boat.
But can he?
Can he what?
Act.
Are we talking a meta level, or are we talking about in the show?
You're saying to respond or to react.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because at this point, so I'll tell you.
But it's none of his business. None of it. This is his business.
Exactly. So none of it was his business. None of it was his business. That's why.
React to what? React to what? It's to go back home. Like, it's not. This is not about you. It's literally not about him. He was a pawn. They used him as a pawn. They used him as a distraction.
But he was trying to see if he could play his role to be able to get his boat and out.
Yeah, but they showed you that the guys
they promised that to him at the end of the episode.
Taranaga's plan,
episode 8 or whatever.
They did. But Taranaga's plan was complete without actually even using him as much. They just used him in the beginning as a distraction, and then the moment that it's like after not a few episodes, but after the moment he realized he's a pawn, they didn't need him anymore. Like,
they need his naval skills. They need that, because the Toranaga is by himself. So he might have a lot of followers, but he doesn't have.
You're saying in the future, they haven't used it yet.
Yeah, but they will. That's still part of his plan.
And that's the only thing that is left unproven, because he's never been at a war. He just knows how to navigate a ship. And it has been, he's a pirate.
Which makes him that kind of like, kind of oddball.
Yeah.
Like it makes him a trump card.
Exactly. But the thing is that how much we don't even know, because guess what? It's like the cheap version of a pirate. That's what he is. And that's why he knows how to navigate ship and run away from people trying to get him. But he's not like a
which
war.
Is something that Japan doesn't have.
But he's not like a warmonger, like a war strategy.
I get that. But I guess what I'm defending is the fact that because he's not part of that, he'd be the perfect distraction, as you said before, but also the perfect trump card.
I hope so, to make him useful. and to compare it back to like Games of Thrones, they know that they're going to kill your favorite character. because they know they have so many things that are going to be even better. You're going to be attached to more characters. You're going to be distracted by more. There's so many other things going on.
That's my problem. Is that Mariko is not that, but they built her up.
Episode 7.
They killed her off.
Baratheon dies in episode 7, season 1.
Robert Baratheon? Yeah, Robert dies.
That
was another big name actor, and because him and Ned were probably the top billing actors.
Yeah,
and that season.
What a start to have these two big names guys play your first episode, and then they're both kings. They're both kings. And then they both kings. Die off. And we know that the story is big, long story. So I'm like, damn, you have a lot in stories.
But that was the thing. And when they died, you didn't feel the show was over. You knew there was other characters you wanted to follow. Right now, the only character I want to follow is Doranada. I don't care about about Blackthorn.
No, I don't care
but
about him.
Like I was saying, the purpose of killing Mariko, whether I agree with it or not, was to give Blackthorn a reason to stay and fight.
Yes.
I don't like it either. Like sacrifice her for that BS reason. Like kill off his wife consort.
I thought she was gonna die every episode.
Build something around that. Make her more likable. Make her and him start getting close, and then rip the bin. But not Mariko. Mariko was. I felt like she had more to offer the show.
I don't know. I hope they do something. I mean, what options do they got? What option do you have?
I mean, right now we're just gonna follow. Hopefully, Blackthorn does things that kind of redeems his character. Because if there's one scene,
hopefully I still watch it.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Like I'm invested already. So they at least have my attention for another season. Now, if the other season they kill off Toranaga and then we're left with Blackthorn only, I'm done. I'm just like, whatever.
That's just racist at that point. I'm pulling the racist card. That's what it is.
And this is probably the last point I'm gonna make about Blackthorn, because I think he's the reason I didn't feel like Shogun was so awesome. Yeah, he's the main reason. And this is captured beautifully in the whole arc about hanging the dead bird. Up to this point, they're doing a decent job about making me not like this character. So how are we gonna reading him? Right? So is he gonna cook some fabulous meal? Although I should have known white people can cook. I should have known.
I don't know why you expected that.
It was just like all over the place. But at least I thought he's gonna have something to offer this culture that they were not expecting, and they were like, "Oh, this is actually good." So he leaves a dead bird. No Haitian would do that.
I think that's what messed it up for you, is because you really had positive expectations from that moment. I knew it was going to end bad. I didn't know it was going to end that bad, but I knew it was supposed to be to show you how his idea of superiority is actually very inferior, because these people don't know how to cook yet or as good as them. I know that's what that was. So I'm like, and he's a man, he's a pirate. I'm like, what does he know? I didn't think anything good was going to come out of it. I thought, yes,
I guess you're right. No, you're 100% right.
What makes it stupid is because somebody dies because of it.
Somebody dies because of how nonchalant he is about the whole situation.
And then he blames them. Dude, you guys don't care about life. That's why you get rid of life like so easily. And we're like, sorry, I was supposed to speak Creole.
You just messed it up. You just got rid of life easily by just saying the wrong thing.
It's his fault. It's his fault.
It's 100% his fault.
And nobody asked you. Nobody told you.
You have it there. You follow up that storyline with actually making him cook the thing, which is like disgusting for everybody, which I could get the levity of that scene. But then you follow that up. Like, how is that leftover chicken? How is that leftover dead bird? Like, did you not cook all of it? Did you cook half of it? Did you just let it rot there?
Exactly.
Like, I don't get it. And then you follow that up by having the guy die because the whole place was getting stinked up. Mariko was telling you that. Mariko was like, this shit smells. Get rid of it.
No,
you're trying to show that your culture is
superiority. It's superiority.
Superiority, right? I think that's the difference between you and I, and you kind of nailed it when you said it. My expectation for him was going to be like Last Samurai, which I still think they can go that route. Because now they give him a reason to
I
fight.
think the first 2-3 episodes, I thought the same too. But once I realized Toranago really downplayed his value, and I know sometimes it's on purpose, but I realized I'm like, he's really saying in every way, and he actually reveals it at the end. He's entertaining for me. He's just funny. He makes me laugh. That's literally his purpose. That's why they kept him around
I
so
think
long.
there's more to it. I think there's more to it to him.
I think they're going. No, listen. They're going to use him.
Yes.
For a lot more reasons. But
yes.
I think the reason why he initially kept him around is just because it's entertaining and it scares his enemies.
Also because he's the only one out of all of them that attempted to save him.
And after that,
he has he has 2 acts that he does that makes his character different from the rest of the people, in the sense that like he values life differently than the Japanese, because Japanese value life as in like, if you don't respect honor, then you don't need to live. But it's like,
I could have agreed with you. I could have agreed with you to show you how deep that part is. I think he's appreciative that he saved his life, and he's like, okay, I don't have to get rid of you.
Remember the teaching how to swim moment?
I remember, but remember at the end. Now I don't know if it's in the last episode or the episode that you saw. At the end, he says, "Oh, Mariko made the deal for your life." Because in the exchange, after everything happened, they were just going to keep him because he's not technically part of the crew or the clan. So they're like, oh, he's just, so they're like, okay.
I mean, the name itself means stranger.
Yeah, you can keep him. So they're like, the enemy was going to take him and then kill him. And Mariko, before dying, made a deal with the Portuguese. They get to make their church if they guarantee to keep him. Because remember, he was anti the Portuguese. They're like, and the people doing a church, they're like, okay, if you give him good passage back to Toranago and don't kill him off, then we'll make sure that we'll still give you the church and allow you to come and establish your Christianity if you guarantee him to go through and go back to Toranago. And Toranago knows, like, if it was for him, he could have died off too. He's like, it's not him. He's not the one that saved his life. So just to show you, even towards the end, he's like, I understand how I can use you, but you're not. I'm not holding you for the future yet. I can use you, but I don't need you, and I'm not making any plans to keep you.
I still think that's a manipulative way of Toranaga just making everybody around him think that they're not necessary. I think it's a manipulative tactic,
and that would have to be heavily explicitly explained in the future episodes.
I think most of Toranaga action explains that already.
I think now they have
not necessarily towards him. Maybe you could argue that, but every action that Toranaga takes is like, nobody suspects it.
Obviously, and I accept that. But now it's like you said, are they going to introduce other characters? Or are they just going to be Blackthorn and Toranaga? Like,
who's going to be Mariko? They have to.
Between
Blackthorn and Toranaga, I'm done.
Exactly.
Like, because you already kind of focused me on 3 characters, so you got to give me a third one. You're not going to. I mean, you can. Good writing is going to overrule anything.
But Blackthorn is not strong enough to be the second. Usually it's Toranaga and the enemy's king,
the enemy,
or leader,
which she's kind of forgettable. Because I think the real enemy is the queen.
Yes, she's the one that has the motive, and she's the one plotting. She's the one
manipulating everything behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good show.
I mean, good show.
No.
Good show.
It's worth it.
It's a worthy watch. My take on it is that there's not a good character for me to stay behind to be like, oh my God, like, look at what you like. When was an awesome moment for you? Like a moment you could be like, yeah, like, man, I want to root for that guy.
I think those moments are so short-lived, and I don't mind it because I think it's sometimes too on the nose. When we won, now we're chilling, and then there's peace, because I think it's all war. It was just quiet until it gets down. So it just really goes like this, and it gets more dangerous progressively throughout the season. And because of Toranaga's strategy, we never think we're winning anything.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm like, damn, he's really dead. He's Jesus, damn,
Yeah.
It's really what it is, but it's well done.
My most memorable scene is still about that dead bird. Like, that's my most memorable scene of the entire show.
That's funny.
I was so annoyed by the whole thing. Like, it just hurt. I was
No.
like, dude,
It's really annoying. It's really annoying.
really, and I understand what they were trying to say with it. I get it. The whole life is fragile. Things you say could affect people. You're not as civilized as you think you are. There's a lot to say. I get that. But man, could we have said it differently?
Yeah, I don't think he had to die.
I don't think it needed to be about cooking.
Hey, leave the food alone. What did the food
Like,
do?
leave the food alone. Like, dude, if you were going to tell me you're more civilized, you cannot say that food was your first thing. So in that case, because I know you got to go, brother, where can people reach you?
You can follow me at movolcy. That's at MOVOLCY on IG, or just RetroReal.
At RetroReal on Instagram, and also at RetroReal on YouTube. And there you could leave comments, posts. Please subscribe and like the video. We will see you next time.